not exactly a Shelter Island thing to do, but I would like to call our gathering to order.
You good?
Thank you. So welcome to the 2023 Election Forum, presented to you by the League of Women Voters of the Hamptons, Shelter Island, and the North Fork, and by the Shelter Island Association. I'm Lois Morris. I'm a vice president of the League, as well as a trustee of the Shelter Island Association. I would like to introduce you to Kim Noland, president of the Shelter Island Association. And to Glorian Burke, as house president of the Hamptons League. And Glorian will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. We never promote or endorse any candidate or party. Today's event presents the Shelter Island candidates applying for office on election. But neither the League nor the Shelter Island Association has a stake in the outcome other than to provide information for voters. Today we have two panels of candidates. First, Amber Brock-Williams, who selected the high card, so she goes first, and Gordon Gooding, who are both running for supervisor. The second panel will include three candidates for the two open seats on the town council. The fourth one is unable to attend. The town council is also known as the town board, and these are, and I'll introduce them again when they come up. These are Albert Dixon, Tom Cronin, Benjamin Diet, and Art Williams, who can't be here. But he will have his closing statement read at the appropriate time when the closing statements are read by the candidates. Each panel will run just short of an hour. At the conclusion of both panels, all candidates will gather again to answer written questions from the audience. You may write questions on cards if you haven't gotten them. When you came in, please raise your hand and someone will come deliver it. You could also get new cards at the break between panels. The volunteers will gather them, or you can drop them in the basket that will be there during the break. On the questions, we won't, and keep it close. This is a bit rocky. Don't include your name on the questions, and if you do, they won't be read. So they can all be anonymous, and mark them. If you want them addressed to a person, say so, or to the whole group, say that too. We want to, this may run a little bit later than 3 p.m. to allow enough time for the audience questions. Officially it goes for 2 hours, but we want to make sure that the questions come in, and we're trying to move this along. We want to thank the Shelter Island School for hosting us, especially Michael Dunn and his Buildings and Grounds crew, and social studies teacher Michelle Corbett for coordinating with technology teacher Christopher Canardi and Alfie Brigham, who is here recording, so that we will have a recording that will go up on the town website and on the YouTube channel as soon as possible. So let us get started, and I'm happy to introduce our moderator, Joanne Robati.
Thank you, Lois. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
If you can't, in the back, excited point, raise your hands or wave around. So Lois explained the basic rules. We're going to be starting with our two supervisor candidates, Amber and Gordon. I'm sorry, what? Amber drew the high card, so she will respond to the questions first. Gordon then will go, and then we will continue back and forth. So the rules are as follows. Candidates, you will each have up to 2 minutes to answer a question and up to 1 minute to rebut. You are not required to rebut, nor are you required to take the full amount of time to answer the question. However, you cannot go over your allotted time. And to that end, Marty and Lois will be there in the front row with your sons. So I'm going to suggest that you don't speak to me. Speak to the audience and keep your eye on that front row, please. If you do exceed your time limit, I will cut you off. We have a no holds barred policy on this, okay? We're going to be very strict about the timing so we can get through. After the first two opening questions will be identical for both candidates with no rebuttal again, and then we'll go back and forth. When the questions conclude, you will each have up to 2 minutes for a closing statement. There are no rebuttals after that closing statement. Whoever answered first, Amber, you will go second in your closing statement. Okay, to the audience. Questions from all of you will follow, as Lois said, the conclusion of both panels. You must submit them in writing. There is no need to use your name. So raise your hands if you still need a card or need a card as we proceed with the program, and a volunteer will be happy to give you one. In the break, before we answer audience questions, we will be reviewing the questions for appropriateness, civility, and redundancy. If we've already answered a question earlier, that will be eliminated, and if something falls out of the bounds of civility or appropriateness, it will not be included. Okay. And please, no applause or any boos as our candidates are speaking. They've got a hard job ahead of them, and they deserve every ounce of attention and politeness that we can give them. All right, Amber, please tell us the 5 specific reasons why you think you are the better choice for town supervisor.
Can you hear me in the back? No? Okay. Is that better? Yes. Okay, I can hear me. 5 reasons why I'm the best candidate. One, I would start off with my 7 years of experience on the town board. I have learned a lot about how things interact and the interplay between community housing and water quality. So I can definitely put all the pieces together. My financial background is also another one of my strengths. I've been in accounting for 39 years, and I bring my budget skills both here and from my private background to the fore. I am always calm, cool, and collected. A lot of people have told me during this campaign that I have been the voice of reason on the board over the past 7 years, and they're hoping to see that continue. I am a good listener. Because I can be calm, cool, and collected, I always can hear what people are saying. I don't get caught up. I'm not listening to respond. I'm listening to learn and understand. So I take everyone's opinions and perspectives into account. And lastly, I think I'm ready to do this. I have been in a secondary role or one side on the board. I want to move forward and be the leader of the town, set the agenda, set the policy, set the tone.
Thank you. Gordon, the top 5 reasons you think you're the better candidate.
Yes, thank you for inviting me to show up.
Quite closer.
How's this? Everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. Let me put this very close to me. I'm the right choice, okay, because I don't come from a political background, and this is the first time I've been in this type of exposure. I've been in my own business. I come from a different perspective, okay. I think of the town somewhat like in business, okay. You have to match budgets with your revenue stream, but I think that what I bring to the table is a private sector point of view. Okay, I think I'm better able to match our revenue stream with our expenses. Okay, I know that's a very important thing. I know that I come out of CPF, I spent 8 years, okay, being in charge of the Community Preservation Fund and acquiring land.
Speak into the mic.
Is this, can you hear me now better? Okay. Let me take this. All right, I've been part of community preservation for the last 8 years. I've been involved in all kinds of transactions and acquisitions with attorneys and sellers and buyers. I know how to interact and I know how to make compromise with people in transactions and even in disagreements. I believe in consensus, okay? I think I can bring a community together. I really want to stop this us and them kind of conversation that seems to be prevalent in certain corners. I want people to talk. I think that we bring people to the table, their voices should be heard. I think that's one of the things that I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber, the supervisor is elected for 2 years only. What do you realistically expect you will be able to accomplish within your term?
Realistically, we should be able to put the comprehensive plan to bed. Oh, sorry. Realistically, we should be able to put the comprehensive plan to bed. That's like the first important issue that needs to be addressed. We need it in order for it to roll into a whole bunch of other things, and hopefully that'll be a question later. And then secondly, I would like to see some affordable housing, like first to at least break ground. We've got different projects, different town-owned properties in the process of permitting, initial looks by the health department. So I think that we will be able to get it through the permitting process, through the RFP process, and maybe even get to the point where we can break ground. It's been a long time coming. The last time we did something was 25 plus years ago, and it's time for us to move forward on that issue.
Thank you. Gordon, what do you think you can realistically accomplish in 2 years?
I think one of the most important things is to resolve this issue over the central wastewater treatment project. The school that we're sitting in, they addressed their pollution issues, okay? They cleaned it up in a 60-day period. I really would like to see the rest of the municipal buildings tied into an IA system, which for those who don't know, that's an innovative alternative septic system. And I think also that with respect to affordable housing, it's been almost a year since the referendum was passed. Okay, we have the funds, we have the money, let's do it.
Okay. Gordon now, right? Or Amber? Okay. You're both going to answer this question. You have 2 minutes and 1 minute for rebuttal if you choose to use it.
And who's first?
You are. Many large infrastructure projects are under consideration by the town board, such as the center wastewater treatment, new municipal water systems, and affordable housing, just to name a few. Even with the help of grants, town money is not infinite. What are the top 3 to 5 priorities which you expect to devote the town's financial resources to during the next 2 years during your term? 3 to 5 major infrastructure projects.
The first one will be water, and that's drinking water. We have issues with the municipal buildings. We're not in compliance, just as the Presbyterian Church was not in compliance a number of years ago. We are under county mandates to bring that up to code. So that's going to be the first thing that we definitely have to deal with, is getting infrastructure there in place. Depending on how the Water Advisory Board's survey goes, whether or not drinking water, high nitrates in the center of town, if while we're dealing with the municipal buildings, whether or not we have to also tie in residential homes in that waste, in the water upgrades that are needed. So that's a big one, and we are looking for grants on that as well, and ways to finance it for these dollar amounts. Community housing is another one. We do have the housing plan tax that was implemented, so that's going to help supplement some of what we need to do, but we also have to be creative, and we've talked to East Hampton, Southampton extensively about how we're going to different ways to do that, whether partnering with not-for-profits, private entities, and things of that matter. There's a lot of work to be done there. After we deal with those two issues, I would say wastewater. We need to first, once we get the drinking water in, especially in some of the towns, worked out, then we can look at how we can best implement municipal wastewater. We've had discrepancies with how, where we can place innovative alternative systems in different places. We can take care of the drinking water in issue. It takes away some of the constraints that we were saddled with initially.
Okay, so 3. Gordon, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
I'm not going to rebut right now.
Okay, thank you. So now the question goes to you. We have many large infrastructure projects under consideration, such as wastewater, municipal water systems, and affordable housing. Even with the help of grants, the town is going to be strapped to accomplish these. What are the top 3 to 5 priorities to which you expect to devote the town's financial resources to during your term?
The first thing that we need to do, okay, water is the highest priority, so I think we really need to have an environmental review of our total island, okay, and not do this Band-Aid approach where we solve a problem here and then we go into a different section to resolve it. I think we really need to look at our overall island as a whole. So my call is that environmental review is important even in the completion of the comprehensive plan. Talking about the sewer district plan, we've been beating this one around. We still are not sure what properties that is proposed on. My feeling is that we've been down this road, and I think we need to move forward and get the municipal buildings on IA systems. There have been surveys that have been mailed out to people in the triangle of the island to get some water results. Okay, that information should be available. And I'm not talking about knowing specific properties, but the general data so that we're addressing the problems that are real. Right now, we have lots of fear going on, and we really need to know really what is the story. We need to have the information before we can address the problem. The second item, okay, in terms of affordable housing, we went through a referendum. It passed back in November. We're 12 months later. It's time to start making a plan and doing something and moving forward. I would like to move that thing forward soon. Thank you.
Amber, do you want to rebut?
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. So the next question goes to you. What has the large house moratorium accomplished? Would you vote to extend it another 6 months, and if so, why?
Right now, we haven't done anything with it because we need to complete the comprehensive plan before
We
we
need
can.
both candidates to speak louder for those who are hard of hearing.
Got it.
Can you turn the volume up?
Okay,
Thank you.
this is as close as I can get. We haven't done anything. I think there's a subcommittee that's looking at the wording for the moratorium, what we would use to replace it, but we cannot do anything with it until we pass a comprehensive plan. So we will need to request another 6-month extension on the large home moratorium. We want to have the comprehensive plan in place or as close to implementing or adopting as possible so that we are accepting the public's will as to how we go ahead with that.
Thank you. Gordon, what do you think the large house moratorium has
Do I have
accomplished?
a chance to rebut here?
Yeah, well, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay. I have a minute, so let me be brief, okay? We passed a moratorium, and we should have something on the table. We should not have nothing. The public has no idea what's being considered, and I think, yes, the comprehensive plan is important, but we've been dealing with some of these issues, and it started over large properties. I think at this particular time, we should have some idea of what we're trying to do. I see nothing wrong with sharing their opinions and views, okay, in a public setting. And I think that needs to be more transparent. Thank you.
Okay? Gordon, in an era of climate change and environmental challenge, how do you balance the rights of property owners, particularly those along the shoreline, with the need to protect or restore our wetlands?
Well, we made a decision, okay, the town board made a decision a short while back, and they relinquished their responsibility, and they passed it on to the planning board. And I think most of the people here who are in the audience know really where that took us, because on one of the first applications that comes forward, okay, it looks like we're going to be building in the wetlands, okay? And I think that we should bring that back to the town board. There are all kinds of little things that make a difference. I mean, we can talk about the code can be enforced. We really need to, we don't even need to change, we need to change some things, but we really don't know how to say no as a town. And I think we really have to learn how to enforce the codes that are pre-existing right now, and if they're not right, let's change them and fill the loopholes.
Amber?
I did not vote for moving the planning from the wetlands application process to the planning board, and I am going to be requesting the town board in this current year to go back and look at it. If I can't undo that move or make some changes to how that's done, then I will pick it up again in January when we have new members on the town board. The wetlands code does need a rewrite. It is vague. It is the current planning board, I think the way they're looking at it is they're interpreting it to a letter as it's written, and they don't feel that they have the interpretation. The town board used to look at it differently. We used to interpret things. So we either need to, if it stays with the planning board, we need to work with them to understand that they are allowed to request things, that they are allowed to interpret things. But overall, we do need to fix the code so we make it stronger.
Thank you. Okay, Amber. Shelter Island is changing rapidly. Anyone who hasn't visited here in a while notices the increase in extremely large houses and the proliferation of high-end, expensive restaurants. At the same time, affordable, full-time housing is becoming non-existent so that young families cannot afford to either move here or stay here. Given these trends, what do you think the island is going to look like in 5 years or 10 years?
That all depends on whether or not we can move forward with some community housing. We truly do need to keep the younger people here. We need to keep the seniors here as well. Some of them are at risk of being, it looks better for them to move someplace else and cash out on their homes. So we need to work with both ends of the spectrum as well as anyone in the middle so that they can find affordable rental units, so that they can save, so that they can purchase something down the road, utilize community housing fund to get first-time home buyer loans, things of that nature. And then we also just need to pay closer attention to special permits, business expansion, making sure we do site plan review so that as things do come before us, we have tools already in place to make sure that we go forward in a smart fashion.
Gordon, rebuttal?
Yes. Okay, it's not going to look pretty, folks, if we continue down this exact same path. If we don't change anything and we don't start to learn how to say no to some of these special permits and some of this development in the wetlands area, it's not going to look pretty. I think we should change that. I think we should really adhere to the codes, such as the 100-foot setback, okay, and building within that 100-foot setback. That's something you can do. I am against it. The wetlands should be nothing taking place. Thank you.
Thank you. Gordon, there's been discussion of the town establishing an island-wide water district. Please explain what this is and how you see the pros and cons of such a plan for Shelter Island homeowners.
I think the island-wide water district, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, folks, okay? I think that until we have a real full environmental understanding of what is taking place, why would you want to do that? And there are other measures that we can do to offset some of these issues, but I think to put this in front of the board and even suggest it at this particular time is premature. I am for, let's look at the data and see what the data shows, okay? And enough of this fear mongering in terms of water, we need water all over the island, and the same applies even to the wastewater treatment, okay? We really don't know, and I think we need to have more information before we make those decisions. Thank you.
Okay, Amber? Rebuttal?
Yes, definitely. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Right now, as things stand, if Montclair Colony wants to have Suffolk County Water come in and provide water to them, they have that right. And Suffolk County Water Authority does not have to negotiate with the town. So we want to establish an island-wide water district so that when Suffolk County, if someone's requesting they come in, they have to work through the town, similar to how they had to work through with West Neck Water. We had a very long, arduous negotiation process with them to make sure that we were best served. And we want to maintain having control over them coming here and working, doing any changes for us.
Thank you. Okay, Amber, how will your leadership style differ in both style and substance from that of Jerry Silla?
Sorry, Jerry.
A question we've all been waiting for.
I am my own person. I have a very different style than Jerry. I am a much better communicator than Jerry is. He holds things close to the vest. I prefer to get things out in the open. If we need to talk to somebody, I want to bring them in sooner rather than later. I don't believe in having to have all of the answers before we start discussing things at the town board level. I want to set the tone. My style is different. There are times where I physically put my arm out, and I'm not a touchy-feely person to Jerry, don't jump out of your seat, and he still does. That's just not me. So it's 100% different. And also, I have not been the one sitting in center seat. When I am there, you see me in contentious meetings that he has not been able to participate in. I keep things pulled together, calm, cool, and collected. People don't get out of hand. Everyone has an opportunity to speak.
Gordon, you have a rebuttal on that?
Listen, this is what this election has been about. Okay, the town board has been, when you disagree, it's okay. It's okay to have a different opinion, okay? But if we are not in agreement, why is the vote always 5-0? Why don't we stand up and say, hey, I disagree, and I don't think we have to totally always be in consent, be a 5-0 vote. I can only count on my hand probably 1 or 2 times when there's been a departure. That is the part, that's what the town board should have. They should have these discussions, a real discussion in the public, and discuss it and have those disagreements in public venue. You don't have to be all in agreement. Thank you.
Okay. Gordon, at present, there is no community housing, also known as affordable housing, on the island. Every proposed solution has encountered objections. Do you think that construction of such housing will begin during your term in office if you are elected? Please explain.
It is absolutely going to begin in my term, okay? And let's remember, okay, the affordable housing referendum, doesn't make any difference how anyone feels in this room. The referendum passed, the money is coming in. They'll have over $500,000 a year in their coffers for affordable housing. This whole issue of, this is what the issue is. I'm stumbling over this because it really is very frustrating. If you have a disagreement, okay, it means you're against affordable housing, and that's not what this is about, folks, okay? I did not vote for the affordable housing referendum, not because I wasn't for affordable housing. I didn't like that there was no plan, and I just didn't feel comfortable with the board having a pool of money sitting there without any idea of what they were going to do with it. Now that it's in place and we have a referendum passed, I want to go ahead, I want to work with Liz Hanley, I want to get something built, and I'm not going to fool around with whether Manwaring is a sewer district plan or sewer, we're gonna work with the properties we have, and we're gonna move this thing forward, guaranteed.
Thank you. Amber?
I think I answered that before when asked what I hope to accomplish in the first 2 years. I just want to state that the Manwaring Road property is off the table for sewage treatment system. It's in the mix for what we're putting forth to the Suffolk County Department of Health to get an understanding of what we can by rights do on each of the properties. We have a possibility to obtain $2 million in funding if we can have 10 units being built at one point in time. So we have 2 proposed at Manwaring Road, 2 proposed at 69 North Ferry Road, and 6 at the Old Highway Barn. So we are moving forward as fast as possible and in the right fashion, and we will make sure that we utilize taxpayer money appropriately.
Thank you. Amber, do you believe that the comp plan should go to the town board and be voted on before the end of the year? Why or why not?
No, I think we need to continue stepping the process along in a measured fashion so that the entire public can be heard. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is not the town board's comprehensive plan. It is the community's plan. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's this town board that adopts it or if it's the next town board. We just have to make sure that the community is heard, and I will ensure that we continue to do that.
Thank you. Gordon?
Thank you, Amber. We're in definite agreement on that it should be held off until the new board is in place. So I think that is a definite that should take place. We need to vet this a little bit further forward, and I'm not put it on the shelf and forget it exists, but bring it. We need to have more meetings with you folks out here. We need to have more public input. And this is an important thing to get done, okay? But I think that we need to get it done. And I think the new board should be able to vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gordon. Earlier this year, the town board ceded wetlands permitting to the planning board to free up the time it takes to review these applications, and because they believed that the planning board had more expertise. Public objection was immediate to ceding final authority over these fragile environmental buffers at a time of rising sea levels. So here's the question for you. In light of this decision, how do you think the transfer of authority is going, and what, if anything, would you change if elected?
You're giving me a softball question. So, obviously...
Remember that.
Listen, how it's doing, we already know how it's doing. Okay, with the first application where we're considering building in wetlands and we had the settlement. Listen, it doesn't belong there. We have to be very careful we don't have any conflict of interest with parties that are participating in that committee. And it's ironic that the first property that comes about happens to be, was a conflict of interest. We need more expertise, okay? And it needs to go back to the board. It has to be re-looked at. But I think where we're going right now, it's not in a good place. Thank you.
Okay, Amber?
I'll just reiterate what I said earlier, that I would like to take it back. I think there are a couple of things the planning board has done right. They do a better job with the resolutions, the application process, the engineer who's looking at the applications for completeness and things like that. They have cleaned up the policy, the procedures and policy a little bit in that respect, and so we need to keep that, but I'd like to take the decision-making back to the town board.
Great. Amber, the town board is currently preparing the 2024 budget. So far, no accommodation has been made for either a professional, experienced town planner or a town manager. If elected, do you believe you can perform your job well without people in these positions? Why or why not?
Right now, we looked at putting in a hydrologist. We didn't have a lot of concrete rationale for why we needed to have a hydrologist, so we pulled that out of the budget. Town planner, it is something to consider for the future, and we have a very tight budget this year. I think that we need to continue to look at the staff that we have in-house and how to better utilize them and work with them before we continue to add on more staff. The same with the town manager. We brought in an administrative assistant who's helped us with legislatively, administratively, it's helping the town board do our jobs better. So I want to continue to work with the existing staff before piling on more taxpayer dollars onto it.
Gordon, rebuttal?
Yes. Listen, if we ever needed the town planner, this is the time. We have some really serious things that are going on that need to be addressed, okay? You know, talking about the budget, and I'm sure there are going to be more questions, but we can do better. And we can afford we can afford things that we want to afford, but the town planner will actually save us money and cut down on our legal expenses because it'll keep us out of trouble. And that's the importance. And it's not like we're looking to hire a full-time one. We just need some more expertise in what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Gordon, the current administration has been plagued by mistrust, anger, and accusations of non-transparency and abuses of power. What 3 or more specific steps will you take if elected to help restore that trust in our local government?
3 steps that I plan on doing, I would like, first of all, we really have to welcome people to the podium. We really shouldn't be criticizing them, we shouldn't be arguing with them, we should be welcoming different opinions. I mean, after all, that's what the government is here for we work for you folks, okay? One of the things, and I have many that I have given deep thought to, is that at our public meetings, I am suggesting, and I will try to implement, having the public, first of all, you have to have agendas out on a regular basis, timely basis, with all the backup documentation in place. But I want the public to talk first, rather than waiting 3 hours after they listen to all these sessions, okay? I just think we have to be, I think what the bigger part of the whole issue of this discourse and the breakdown in trust is that we are unwilling to listen to other points of views. And if you have a different point of view, you're marginalized. And people don't want to come up into the public and talk, okay? Not everybody wants to go before the town board because of that very fact, okay? So I think there are ways that we can do it, and I think we're going to start by being a little kinder, a little gentler, and welcome people to the table. We're going to start. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Amber, rebuttal?
Yes, I think you've seen when I've run the meetings that everybody does get an opportunity to talk. I also think that I'll have an open door policy so that people, if they don't feel comfortable coming before the town board to speak publicly, that they can come and talk to me. I think a lot can be accomplished when people have an opportunity to be heard and feel heard. I get emails all the time, and I respond to people coming into the community. You know, they can't attend the meetings, they're working, but they saw something and they had a comment, and I'm always welcoming and accepting of that. And I think that will help build trust.
Amber, litigation against the town can be an effective tool for those who have the funds to contest a decision made against them. The town currently employs both a town attorney and an aide. Additionally, we bring in outside counsel on an as-needed basis. Are you satisfied with the town's ability to fight these suits effectively going forward? Why or why not?
Again, it gets back to tightening up our legislation, because the reason we have a lot of litigation against us is because we have weaknesses in our code, and we need to rewrite things, make it stronger, better, more bulletproof, and that would be the first step that we need to take in order to fend off some of these lawsuits. There will always be frivolous lawsuits that we can't predict or anticipate, but we can at least tighten up where we can so that we prevent it in tomorrow.
Gordon? Comfort with our ability to fight lawsuits?
I'm on the rebuttal, correct?
Yes.
Just to make sure. Listen, we need an attorney that works for us full time, okay? It's hard to say this, but perhaps we really should have really revalued or looked a little deeper even in our selection and our hiring practice. When you're hiring, you're automatically getting into conflict from day one. So our expenses are extraordinarily high, and I think a lot of it can be eliminated by, it costs a little bit, and you can save a whole lot by having the right people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gordon. Gardner's Bay Country Club claims that they need a vastly increased amount of water, from 6 million to 12 million gallons for the course itself, and another 100,000 gallons for the clubhouse. Where do you stand on this request?
No.
You want to expand on that? Or?
Just to expand a little bit on this, okay, I'm not trying to be cute here today. It shouldn't even be looked at because we have to follow the code. And the code says no expansion of irrigation. So why are we spending all this time with this? I think that it should be a no. Let them explore other avenues, let them come back, let them put their another proposal together, whatever they want to do, but we really shouldn't give it the kind of consideration. Do we really want a pond that's going to carry 6 million gallons of water on Fresh Pond? Could we get a little serious here? Thank you.
Okay, Amber, do you have a rebuttal?
It's not a rebuttal, it's a hard no.
All right, Amber, the current 2023-24 budget in process suggests, suggests a potentially large increase in property taxes is coming. What actions will you take to reduce spending increases and keep taxes down?
We just had our final budget workshop on Friday. We're coming in at 6.2%. It's a really hard number to accept, but we've looked at all of the areas where we could cut back on spending and done as much work as we can. So what we're doing in order to get it from the higher percentage that it was, we are utilizing fund balance. We've accumulated fund balance over the years, and we never know if we're going to accumulate a lot or a little. But this year we're going to have like a very slight increase projected. So we feel comfortable taking $320,000 out of fund balance, and we have sufficient reserves going forward so that we don't have to then next year increase taxes automatically by $320,000. We can soften the blow so that we equalize what taxpayers, what their increases are from year to year to make it palatable and acceptable, and hopefully not drive anybody out of the community because seniors can't afford the taxes or young people can't live. It's a very tight balancing act to do.
Gordon?
Listen, with this past administration, okay, we are going to have a look at, well, prior to the reduction of the 11% increase, it would, even at the 6, we're going to have over a 20% increase in our taxes, okay? I would ask this question, okay, where we can't run this town and always work in the deficit. We have to work, we have to spend, can't spend money we don't have. We're spending user fees, we're spending COVID money to balance the budget. We're going all over the place to balance it. Our neighbors to the north, Southold, have been able to stay under the 2% cap by the state for the last 3 consecutive years. We can do that, and we should be able to do better than what we are. Thank you.
Okay. Gordon, the comp plan draft suggests merging the B and B1 zones. Please explain what these 2 business zones are and tell us your opinion on a proposed merger.
The B and the B1 zone, okay, they're talking about combining them. The B1 zone is more restricted than the B zone. So why would we want to do that? Okay, if we need to have a different zone or a different district, let's say in the center for apartments over in commercial properties, maybe we should really review and create a separate zone. But I think reducing and making it easier or making it more lax, okay, by combining the two zones, I think is a mistake. But that's as much as I can say at this time. Thank you.
Amber, rebuttal?
Yes, I haven't been attending every single comp plan committee meeting because there are two town board members who are controlling that, and it's going to eventually come to the town board for review. So when I started to read the draft that had just been published, I saw the B1 and B zones as being merged, and I disagree with that. I like the idea, it was created for a reason. I like the idea we can have variances. You can apply for a variance if you want to do something in B1 that's not currently permitted. Let people go through that variance process to get permission before proceeding.
Thank you. Okay, back to you, Amber. If public water and/or sewer districts are created, do you think we need to protect zoning density? And if yes, how?
We definitely need to protect zoning density. Just because we bring in public water or sewer does not mean that that our zoning changes. So I think a way to protect the future is to, when we change zoning rules, is to implement a supermajority so that it isn't just 3 board members who can override our zoning code, that it would require 4 people. I think that's a nice, safe way to put it. So if the community truly feels, then they have to get a supermajority to make any changes, and I think it will protect us.
Okay, Gordon?
This is interesting because the earlier question, we talked about variances, and unfortunately, we don't know how to say no to variances. So really, we're reasoning things, but repeat the question.
Sure. If public water and/or sewer districts are created, do you think we need to protect zoning density? And if so, how?
Listen, if we build infrastructure and we have water, public water, and we have sewers, okay, right now the safeguard is Suffolk County Health Department. That's what controls our density. So my call is that we really shouldn't fool around with zoning, and there's no need to have this infrastructure because there's nothing that says at this point that proves that it's an absolute must to have. Thank you.
And this is our last question, Gordon. The comp plan draft advises revising the 2015 irrigation law, which has been widely ignored. In the words of the comp plan, quote, "There is not an effective enforcement program in effect," end quote. If you agree that the law needs revising, what would you suggest and how would you have it enforced?
Listen, we need an enforcement here. We do not have it, okay? I would love to see the revenue stream from all the money that we spend for our enforcement between computer programs and people who are supposedly enforcing it. Doesn't mean they're not doing their job. I'm just saying to you that we don't know what enforcement. I just think that we have enough things to protect our island just by enforcing the codes that currently exist. Thank you.
Okay, Amber, do you have a rebuttal? Sure. I'm just going to find it. I just lost it, sorry. The comp plan draft advises revising the 2015 irrigation law, which has been widely ignored. In the words of the comp plan, quote, "There is not an effective enforcement program in effect." Do you agree? If you agree that the law needs revising, what would you suggest and how would you have it enforced?
I think that we need to change the irrigation law and either mandate, and this is something to be investigated by the town board and with public input, but either getting rid of well-drawn irrigation and only going with cistern irrigation, or quite frankly, I don't think anybody should have any irrigation. Let's make brown lawns sexy again.
All right, now, closing statements. Gordon, you're up first. You have 2 minutes for a closing statement, then Amber will have 2 minutes for a closing statement, and there is no rebuttal.
Okay, folks, let's see, I gotta try to read from something, I'm gonna try to add with it, okay? There are three things that
Talking
I'm
to the
running-
mic, Gordon.
Okay, there are three things that I am running for office for. One of the first item, okay, is I want to protect the island's water, okay? And we do that, okay, by not ignoring the threats to the island, okay? The second item is I want to preserve community character, and our community character is really by affordable housing. We need affordable housing, which will help our community, which will keep young people here, which will keep our school vibrant and active. After all, it is the cornerstone of our community. We've got to stop unplanned, risky and unplanned development by enforcing the existing codes, changing and filling the loopholes that currently exist. We need also to encourage appropriate development that benefits the island as a whole, not for special interests. And finally, you know, we're a small island and we all have different points of views, and that's how it should be. So I am committed to a responsible, responsive, and transparent government. Everyone should have a voice. I talked about scheduling meetings, and I'm just going to jump to the back, okay, right now, since I got 30 seconds. Shelter Island needs a leader that will be proactive and strategic in dealing with the many challenges that we have. Shelter Island needs a leader who is financially responsible and gets things done. I will provide that leadership as your new supervisor. I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Amber, 2 minutes.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Shelter Island Association for hosting the debate and all of you for coming, and those who will be tuning in later afterwards. I think that one of the things that today is highlighted is that we do agree on a lot of the issues, but there are nuances and some differences in the solutions. I think it's important that you keep in mind as you make your decision that some of these issues are going to change. Some we'll find different solutions to as we work through them, and then others are just going to continue to be thorny. So who do you want to be, the question is, who do you want to be sitting in the center seat in Town Hall navigating all of this? Shelter Island is experiencing growing pains. There's strife, there's divisiveness. It's all a result because we've been historically a lean, small government. We have more demands coming at us, more rules, more mandates. We have to navigate those changes. We've got a different constituency coming in. They want what they want. They're going to challenge us in court. They're going to push wherever they can. So we want to be in a situation where we can react to those changes. We have to get our house in order. And I'm not advocating for greatly expanding government or taxes. We need to critically look at what people we have in place and the resources we already have at our disposal, and how do we better utilize them and expand very sparingly as needed. I think I'm in the best place to manage those changes. I have a long history. I've been connected to Shelter Island since I was 22 years old, raised my kids here, volunteered here. I've been on the board for 7 years. I know how all pieces interrelate. I know what we need to do to hit the ground running on January 1st. I can be that person. I won't have a learning curve. I'm going to be up and running. So I ask for your vote on November 7th, and I want to be the person sitting in the center seat at the Town Hall. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you all. We're going to take a 15-minute break while we switch panels and the town board candidates. If you haven't already done so and you want to submit a question for the conclusion of the panel, please get a card.
Caribbean.
cool concept. I can just stop it. Important. But it's an excuse for me to play with my whole family, which is nice.
We now have the candidates up here, please. Here comes our victim. Here we go again. So now we have our town board candidates. The rules will remain the same. They have drawn cards, so the order that they're seated in will be the order in which we will proceed. We have Benjamin Diet, Tom Cronin, and Albert Dixon. Okay, all candidates, you have 2 minutes to answer. Please keep your eyes on Marty and Lois in the front row because they'll be holding up your time signs. So don't look at me, look at them. All right. For all candidates, there's no rebuttal on this question. Ben, what are the 3 greatest strengths
that you will bring to the Shelter Island Town Council if you are elected?
Oh boy, my three strengths come from my 35 plus years experience in law, real estate law, and business. I can bring hopefully a new level of professionalism and efficiency. I have run, as an entrepreneur, I've run a number of businesses. I actually also ran a local business here in Shelter Island. I used to be a restaurateur here. Little things. We're on. How's that? Okay. So, where was I?
Okay, start from the beginning.
Okay.
What are the three greatest strengths you will bring to the Shelter Island Town Council if you are elected in November?
So my three greatest strengths come from my 35 years plus experience in law and business and entrepreneurship. As a lot of you know, I also ran a business here on Shelter Island for a number of years, and I have a long history of entrepreneurism. The town clearly is vexed by a number of very important issues, and I can bring a new level of analysis, professionalism, and a different perspective.
Thank you. Tommy, what are your three greatest strengths that you will bring to the Shelter Island Town Council if you're elected?
So, I think I'm a go-getter, I'm a leader. As you can see, I take charge. I've been here over 50 years, longer than everybody else up here. Seen a lot of changes, seen all the changes. The other thing I'd like to do is more research before these decisions that the town makes are put forward on the taxpayer. I like to do the research and try to really come up with solid answers before we start implementing laws and restrictions on the taxpayer.
Okay. Albert, three greatest strengths you would bring to the town board.
Well, I guess I'll start. I was there before, and I know how the town runs, and I know certainly how it can run better. Other than that, I guess what qualifies me, I'd have to fudge a little bit and say I want to see the town develop a comprehensive environmental agenda that protects our natural resources and ensures the long-term sustainability of our island. We need to put in place a series of strong foundations, a strong foundation.
Albert, you're not really answering the question.
Okay.
I want your three greatest strengths that you're bringing to the board, not necessarily what you would want to accomplish.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, that's fair. I digressed. That I was there before, I know how it works, and I know how to make it better. I want to rely on impartial expertise as we move forward with the issues that we face. I think that's very important. And I feel I compromise, I feel I listen to people, and hopefully work together to make this a better place. Thank you.
Okay. Ben, what do you think are the three most pressing issues or problems facing Shelter Island right now?
Oh, so affordable housing. A little feedback again. Sorry, affordable housing is the number one thing in my head that I would like to address as soon as I'm in office. The second thing are water quality issues. And the third issue would be protection of our wetlands. Here we go again.
Move it to the left. Move the microphone to the left. Or, sorry, the amp. Slide the whole amp to the
Okay,
left.
now, it was the other mic that was still on. We're okay, we're good.
We have a lot of people who are in AV clubs.
So, as far as affordable housing is concerned, look, it is the one issue that touches every aspect of life here at Shelter Island. From supporting businesses with workforce housing, from supporting this building that we're sitting in by having affordable, having attainable housing for families with kids who can go to school here. It is so important, and it is really, truly is the one thing we need to take care of. That's it.
We want three. We want the three
Oh,
most
I gave
pressing
you
issues.
the other two.
The
were-
other two were, I'm sorry.
Clean water and backyard wetlands.
Okay, sorry. Tommy, three most important issues?
So I think everyone agrees that it will be water, number one, just to make sure it stays clean. There was a study done, I think it was in '94, we have copious amounts of water, it's just the quality that's going to kill us in the future. So we have to make sure that we pay much attention to our water quality. Financial, fiscal responsibility, to keep it affordable for our young families. And affordable housing, which I would like to get that thing really up and running in the next, we have a 4-year term, so I'd like to get it going in 2 years, like the supervisors were talking. For the overall affordability of the island, I think the Shelter Island Fire Department has been talked about where we don't have the younger members anymore because they're all moving away. I think that one big thing that we're not touching on Shelter Island is the Latino community. And I think that if we're inviting the Latino community to join our fire department, to join our community in multiple ways, I think that will be a huge helper for the fire department as well as fiscal responsibility.
Thank you. Albert, what do you think are the three most pressing issues or problems facing Shelter Island right now?
Our environment, our water. I'll start again. We need a comprehensive environmental agenda that will protect our natural resources and ensure the long-term sustainability of our island. We need to put in place a foundation of concrete conservation protections to protect our drinking water, our surface waters, our wetlands, our environment. The next step, I believe affordable housing is critical to the continuation of our community. It's a big part of our community character. It supports the school. It gives balance to our community. The third would be update our town code. First enforce our town code, and then update those loopholes that exist within the code that applicants, their engineers, and their lawyers can exploit and take advantage. We're not under the radar anymore. Developers have found us, they're coming here. We need to tighten our code to have control. We don't want any more negative development. We need to start saying no, frankly.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll begin alternating the questions. You each have 2 minutes for a response, and the other two panelists will have 1 minute for a rebuttal if you so choose. Okay, Ben, it's been determined that because of sewage contamination or saltwater intrusion, property owners in certain parts of the island do not have access to potable water. The question is, do you think the town has a moral, legal, or ethical obligation to provide access to potable water? Please explain.
Well, I think we all have an obligation to make sure we have potable water. It's not just the town's responsibility. The town certainly is responsible for the municipal buildings and how they are contributing to the nitrate levels and other types of pollution. And that should be addressed immediately. But the town also needs to embark on an education program to teach everyone the importance of clean water and how to get there. it's not just the town's problem, it's all of our problems. And we all have to work towards solving the problem. I maintain my septic system carefully. I have my well tested every year, year and a half. We all need to take responsibility for our own piece of this wonderful island of ours.
Tom, do you have a rebuttal on that? Albert? Okay. Tom, do you think that the town should establish an island-wide water district? Why or why not?
To an extent, yes, but to be clear, I've said this before, I get a little bit of pushback. I am not in favor of Suffolk County Water Authority coming to Shelter Island and creating water, making everyone pay when we still have good water under our own homes. So for someone to tell me I need to pay for water when the water I'm sitting on is good, no, I don't want that. But to protect, make a district to protect our island from Suffolk County Water Authority coming and forcing us to do things like that, yes, I'm in favor of that.
Albert, do you have a rebuttal? Ben?
I'm not so sure this is a rebuttal, but we all should acknowledge that Suffolk County Water Authority water is our water. It's not a magical elixir that comes from up on high somewhere. It comes from wells drilled into our aquifer. There's certain areas of this island that clearly have water quality issues, and we should address those issues on a localized basis, rather than a blanket solution of bringing Suffolk County water from across the whole island. And as Tom mentioned, make everybody pay for it.
Okay. Albert, given the increasing complexity of the environmental, development, zoning, and financial concerns with which the town is grappling, makes me tired just to say that. Do you believe that the supervisor and council members, along with the town clerk's office and the town attorney, can handle all of that without a professional level town planner, town manager, or town environmental planner? Please explain.
I think we're in need of that assistance, frankly. A town manager, just to distinguish, I don't think we need a town manager. A town manager can operate independent of the town board and make decisions for the island. A town administrator would be answerable to the town board, so that would be an option if we're going to go in that direction. We desperately need a town planner, maybe not on a full-time basis, but at least at a consulting basis when we're faced with projects, very complicated projects. We need a town planner. A town planner is going to help us put together a plan for the comprehensive plan. That I'm in favor of. A town planner on a consulting basis to help us with the decisions that we're facing.
Okay. Ben, do you have a rebuttal? Okay. Tom?
I am not in favor of a town planner. We're up here to do a certain job, to be on the town board along with the supervisor. That's what the people are voting for. That's what you're going to elect me for. I feel I should do the job to the best of my ability. If I can't do my job, you elect me out, and you get somebody else in. I want to do fiscal responsibility, and that keeps trying to keep our island affordable for our younger families, and by keep spending more money on more people to come into more of our government areas, I'm not in favor of that.
Thank you. No. Sorry. You can put it in your closing statement. Okay, then, what you can do is answer this next question. A substantial number of residences on Shelter Island are owned by taxpayers whose primary mailing address is elsewhere. Given this, how do you intend to balance the needs and desires of the local community, such as funding after-school recreation programs, food insecurity, senior services, affordable housing, etc., 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 with those of the second home taxpayers?
I'm not sure what this question is driving at, because even if those tax bills go to other places, they still have to pay their taxes. Yeah, maybe a point of clarity?
Well, I'll just repeat the question.
Okay.
Basically, how will you seek to balance the needs and desires of the people who live here full-time with those who are second homeowners?
Okay, let's try it this way. Whether or not you receive your tax bills in another place or here, you're part of this community. And you have certain obligations as being a member of the community, such as paying your taxes and contributing to what the government provides its citizens, be it food and security relief, this school.
The school doesn't fall under the...
Well, it's a different, it has its own separate half of the budget, yes. But still, you have to pay your school taxes, no matter where that bill goes. And that doesn't change. The balance, there's really no balance. It is, you have to operate this town as a whole functioning community and try to take care of the needs of everyone in this community from bottom to the top.
Tom, you want to rebut that?
All I want to say is that question is very strange to me. It sounds like you're putting homeowners against homeowners. I don't see a difference. You're paying taxes whether you're here for 3 months or 12 months. God bless you.
Okay. Albert?
I think we see that now, that there's this us versus them. That's very divisive and destructive for the island and doesn't lead to good productivity.
Okay, thank you. Tom? Earlier this year, the town board ceded wetlands permitting to the planning board to free up the time it takes to review these applications, and because they believed that the planning board had more expertise. Public objection was immediate to ceding the authority over these fragile environmental buffers at a time of rising sea levels. If you had been on the board at that time, how would you have voted and why?
I would have voted no. I still would vote no, because as the elected official, I'm the one who's going to be held accountable. You can vote me out, which I hope you don't do once I'm in. You can vote me out and move on, where the board is appointed, and to get someone off the board is not going to be as easy. So, no.
Albert, rebuttal? Planning board having authority over wetlands permitting.
Most definitely vote no. That decision needs to remain with the town board. We're electable. We are elected and accountable to the residents. Frankly, as you mentioned earlier, that there was expertise in the planning board. Not to disparage any of the members of the planning board, but I don't see any environmental professional or a planning professional that sits on that board. That decision really should remain with the town board.
Ben?
Not so much a rebuttal, because yes, that decision should remain with the town board. It's no. But I understand the town board's reasoning behind it. The town board has a huge workload, and there are a lot of very smart, capable people who are trying to solve problems that are outside their expertise. I mean, one thing, well, the first thing any entrepreneur needs to learn as soon as possible is you don't know everything. And if you don't know everything, go find out who has the answers and bring them in, talk to them, use their knowledge. And if things were organized a little differently, the load on the board would lighten and things would run more efficiently.
Okay, thank you. Albert? Shelter Island is changing rapidly. Anyone who hasn't visited in a while notices the increase in extremely large homes and the proliferation of high-end restaurants. At the same time, affordable, full-time housing is becoming non-existent, so that young families cannot afford to either move here or stay here. Given these trends, what do you think Shelter Island will look like in 5 years and in 10 years?
I don't think
They're going to turn on.
we'll like it very much, frankly. We need affordable housing. That we know, that's a definitive thing. The proposition passed, we're accruing money, we need to put forward a project, we need to get it started. We have town-owned land. The development on Shelter Island, we need to fix our town code. We need to enforce our town code, and we need to make adjustments so we have better control over the development that's going to come at us. What was the last part of that?
What do you think the trend is? What do you think that the island is going to look like in 5 years and in 10 years?
There's too much change coming at us, and I think we critically need control over that. We need to establish better control over that change.
Okay. Rebuttal, Ben, or anything to add?
What this place is going to look like in 5 years is up to us. As Albert said, we need to tighten the code. It's a bit of a mess, and it's full of loopholes that were never really much of a worry because there weren't people actively trying to take advantage of them in large numbers. That is changing. And so we need to come together as a community to make sure Shelter Island looks like we want it to look in 5 years. And there you go.
Based on the question, you say looks like. They're starting with the moratorium on the large houses. So if you can get that under control, stop the mega mansions on small parcels, that'll change the look. But Shelter Island it's going to change. We're not really going to be able to stop it. We can slow it down. It's our job to try and fight it off as long as possible.
But what do you think those changes will consist of?
You're going to have every piece of property that could possibly be built on is going to be built on. It's just a matter of time because it's property rights, they own it. If it continues in this way and we do have water pollution, if we do have the sewage problems, you're going to have sewage treatment plants, you're going to have city water, it's going to change. I don't see that happening in 10 years, but without doing some more enforcement, which we don't really have, you're going to have a lot more issues coming up faster.
Thank you. Ben, can Shelter Island cope with the challenges to our drinking water and our bay water without regulating things such as lawn pesticides and finding ways to filter out substances such as medications that we all don't want in our drinking water? If not, what do you propose?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. Can Shelter Island cope with the challenges to our drinking water without doing things such as regulating lawn pesticides and finding ways to filter out substances such as medications from our water? If not, what do you propose?
Well, I believe Shelter Island can cope with almost any problem as long as we identify it, bring it on the table, discuss it openly, and come together. Pesticides, Suffolk County has regulations around pesticides. You're not supposed to be using them between November and, what is it, March or April? So let's stick to some of the rules. And we can also do things through education. If you look at Silver Beach, they put that sign up during the summer that shows you the stages of drought and where we are. And the town needs to educate people through programming about what's beneficial in water conservation and why it's beneficial, and teach people that you can get rid of your green lawn and still have a beautiful house. If you drive past my house, I got rid of the green lawn at my house. I let it go native, and right now it's incredibly beautiful. It's all this red sorrel. It's about 3 feet high. I turned it into a meadow, and the birds love it. The little creatures from the forest love it. And I think my house is better looking for it. So, we can deal with this problem. We just have to be smart about it.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
The Water Advisory Committee right now is creating a subcommittee, I believe it's under the direction of Lisa Shaw, to research more, get more information about the pesticides and fertilizers, specifically fertilizers is what they're working on. Applied properly, fertilizers is not as bad as it could be made out to be. But that's not the problem. It's the rest of the factors of people applying it improperly, where it's over-applied and the plants can't absorb all the nutrients from the fertilizer that eventually goes into our water. There are ways that we can keep up with it, but it's going to be a lot of research and a lot of research.
Albert, do you think we need to regulate lawn pesticides and find ways to filter out undesirable substances from our water? And if not, what else?
The pesticides are controlled by New York State DEC. The town can't exert any control over that other than just the proverbial, if you see something, say something. As far as fertilizers, I've said it before, I know our history is largely British, but the obsession with the green lawn has got to stop. I'm very proud of my lawn. It's full of crabgrass, grass, weeds. It turns brown. It's a badge of honor to have a brown lawn, frankly.
Okay, all right, okay. Tommy, applications to build houses over 6,000 square feet have been growing year by year. To date, the town board has never turned one of these down. Has never turned down a request for the required special permits, despite the community calls for change. If elected, do you intend to seek changes to the town code to set limits on house size? And if so, what would you recommend?
Yes, I like the idea of the moratorium to do more research. I would like to see a sliding scale, and I always point back to the Montclair Colony area. So you have this beautiful little area, a characteristic area of cottages, small homes on a nearshore overlay peninsula with shallow aquifer. And boom, you have these huge houses on little bitty parcels of land. That I would like to see addressed immediately with this moratorium. So you have a sliding scale. If you have 5 acres, you can build a house up to a certain size. If you have a quarter acre or a half acre, you can't have every corner of the property covered by this mansion. So that's how I would like to see it, addressed with this moratorium.
Thank you. Albert, would you like to rebut that?
I'm going to tell a story. In 2018, when I joined the board, early on there was an application for, I believe, an 11,000 square foot house and a 75-foot pool. I said no, I objected to it. I was concerned about the nearshore overlay area. I was concerned about water quality and water issues. I voted no. That night when I got home, Ambrose Clancy called me and said, Albert, I checked with Dottie Ogar. You're the first one that's ever voted no for one of these projects. You want to come in and sit down and tell me why you did? Well, that was an easy sit down. We need to take care of our island, our water, our wetlands, our shoreline. The town code, again, we have a law that says the maximum size is 5,999 square feet. If you present something larger, you need it.
Okay, thank you.
Just that.
No, did you rebut?
You skipped me, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am for extending the moratorium, just to give us time to, number one, finish the comprehensive plan in a smart, diligent way. That'll allow us to strengthen the code, because where the town has gotten itself into, since it has said yes to everything, it has set a precedent where we now can no longer say no to anything. It was just proven in the lawsuit for the house on Serpentine Drive, where the judge said 38 out of 38. Why do you want to say no now? You can't do that. That's unfair to the last person through the door. So we have to reset everything. So we need a new comprehensive plan. We need to stiffen the code. That will then allow us to reset things and start saying no.
Thank you. Albert. The current elected administration has faced a good deal of mistrust and anger at public meetings. Also, members of advisory boards have expressed frustration and have resigned from their positions. During your term of office, what do you think it will take to restore confidence in our local government? Please be as specific as possible.
I think we need
Turn on.
excuse me, I'm turning it off and on, so it doesn't get the reverb. We need to involve our committees in our government. They're volunteers, committed, we need to involve them, let them speak their mind, take their input. We need more civility at town board meetings. The 3-minute clock needs to be eliminated. People should be able to come in and speak. That's their right, that's a resident's right, and we should listen to it. Could you repeat?
You want me to repeat the question? The current elected administration has faced a good deal of mistrust and anger at public meetings. Also, members of advisory boards have expressed frustration and have resigned from their positions. During your term of office, what do you think it will take to restore confidence in our local government specifically?
I think many of the committees, the resignations were the result of the town board kind of dictating the agenda that they wanted to put forth. That is not productive. And we need to have more civil town board meetings. People need to speak. We need to have more and better conversation in town.
Thank you. Ben, rebuttal?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm one of those people. I resigned from the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, not because of the people working on it and the hard work they put in. It's a really tough project, and people are spending a lot of time on it. I was upset with the direction, the process, the style that they were employing. The fact that I didn't feel that enough public opinion was being gathered and put into the plan. And that was going to lead us to bad content. So I was also very concerned with it being rushed. And it, at one point, they put out a schedule that said it will be voted on by the town board and passed in December.
Okay, thank you.
So that's it.
Sorry? Ben, we're back to you then.
Me, huh?
Oh, you get, sorry. Getting a little confused.
I'll make it quick for you.
That's okay.
Listen.
Take your minute.
We just need to listen. A lot of times people speak to us about things that we don't agree with, and we shut down right away. In town hall, we need to just listen and accept the fact that we're not going to agree on everything. And somehow, we need to meet in the middle and come up with a solution that's going to benefit as many people as we can.
Thank you. Now we're back to Ben. Now that the school has installed its own IA septic system, what is the best solution to mitigate the high nitrogen pollution created by other buildings in the center, both residential and town-owned?
Well, first of all, let's applaud the school for breaking out and taking the initiative.
Not really. Keep things moving.
And on time and on budget. When does that happen? And they waited 2 years for the town to go through the process of the wastewater treatment plant. And finally, they couldn't wait anymore. And they went out and did it, got it done on time and on budget. So let's use them as an example. The town is responsible for the municipal buildings in our lovely little island. And the school has now set the bar very high, and we can follow them. We can follow their lead.
Thank you. Tommy? Rebuttal? Albert? Anything? All right. Tommy? Many members of the town's advisory committees and boards, most of whom are volunteers, are facing enormous challenges to their service. 3 members of the comp plan advisory committee have recently quit. So has the longtime chairman of the Waterways Management Advisory Board, John Needham. Others have voiced complaints that the town board ignores their recommendations. What would you do, if elected, to deal with these ongoing frustrations among advisory groups? And how would you continue to attract qualified, dedicated members to put their time in on the town's behalf?
To get good, qualified members to join a group that gets no credit, no pay, just yelled at? I don't know, that's a bigger question than I got for you.
You could be a parent.
But once again, I would just say, we have to listen. There's a small amount of people that are vocal. And it's become very contentious at the meetings. The decorum is lost. It's a screaming match constantly. That has now gone into the committees. Some of the committees are having the same issues with. Nothing gets accomplished. It's just a constant argument. I think we need to somehow take control back of our meetings. And if that means having people shut down with the 3-minute rule, then that's how it has to be. I like the 3-minute rule. I know you don't. If you can't make your point in 3 minutes, you're not up there to grandstand. I like the 3-minute rule.
Albert, do you have a rebuttal? Sure. It's a long question. Many members of the town's advisory committees and boards, most of whom are volunteers, are facing enormous challenges to their service. 3 members of the comp plan advisory committee recently quit. So has the longtime chairman of the Waterways Management Advisory Board, John Needham. Others have voiced complaints that the town board ignores their recommendations. What would you do, if elected, to deal with the ongoing frustrations among advisory groups, and how would you continue to attract qualified, dedicated members who will put their time in on the town's behalf?
The first thing I do is establish an atmosphere of civility and free thinking and free discussion, not control any kind of an agenda with a committee. These are volunteers. They put in their time. We respect them and appreciate what they do.
Okay.
I just want to add that I'm not a fan of the 3-minute rule, but I don't hate it either. I know Gordon, my running mate, is very much against it. But where Gordon and I come together on this, and I would urge you to watch the first 10 minutes of the last CPF meeting. It's on YouTube. Because what Gordon did as chairman of CPF, he had 2 people in the audience for that meeting who don't normally show up for things, and he let them speak first. He didn't make them sit through a 3-hour meeting. He immediately wanted them to address their concerns. It's also a great technique that I used to use in speaking at conferences. You know, if the room was this size or less, I would encourage an interactive. Don't wait and hold your questions at the end. Raise your hand, and if I'm saying something that you're reacting to, then let's talk about that. And that will diffuse a lot of the frustration.
Okay, Albert. Right? Fresh Pond is a window into our aquifer, so it's not surprising that it suffers from the same contamination problems plaguing the center. Grants that have been obtained do not cover the entire cost of the cleanup. Do you believe that town funds should be used to clean up Fresh Pond? Fred, please explain.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate the Fresh Pond Neighbors Association They have been very active. They have participated in the cleanup of the pond. They've contributed funds. They should be congratulated. The plan, there has been a pilot plan established and funds have been allocated to study the mitigation means. The New York State DEC directed a pilot program. It's a new technology in New York State, and they asked for the pilot program to be done to see the effectiveness of the cleanup. Let's wait until that data comes in. Let's evaluate it. Let's look at the science that's come through. Any project, it's going to cost right now, the estimates are $1 million. It needs to be thoroughly vetted and thoroughly evaluated for success. Thank you.
Ben? Tommy? Okay. Last question to Ben. Do you believe that the comp plan should go to the town board and be voted on before the end of the year? Why or why not?
Yes, they should vote on it next week.
At least it can end on.
No, absolutely not. Look, the plan sits, it's not a bad start. It really isn't. And the people working on it can get this done, so it will be a great tool for this island. It's just not ready. And more work has to be done with the community. And more work has to be done with experts in various areas. For instance, it would be great if we had a general environmental study to add to the plan and to help guide some of the conclusions of the plan. That would be fantastic. So a little more time, a little more patience, and we can end up with a great comprehensive plan.
Tommy?
Well, I hate to say this, but I agree with you. I'm not in favor of pushing it through. In fact, I would almost say take a 60-day moratorium on it and let Meg and BJ decompress, let the members of the committee decompress, and kind of reboot. There's a lot of conflict based on this comprehensive plan. In the long run, it's a guiding thing for us. It's not really law, so I hope people understand that. But it's a good guiding thing, and I think it should not be rushed.
Albert?
Oh, we had 3 yeses up here. How about that? The meeting at the community center, I think there was, over 140 people there. That's really the first strong public meeting that we've had regarding the comprehensive plan. People got up and spoke. It's important. We need much more of that. And we need a strong environmental impact study done to sustain any comprehensive plan and validate the comprehensive plan that we come to.
Thank you all. Wait a second. Whoever's going to come up and speak on behalf of Art Williams? You want to? Thank you. So we're now going to go to closing statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes each. We will have somebody speak for Art. There is no rebuttal. Have a seat. Okay, Ben? No, go to him. No, he goes to the end.
Okay, it's me.
Yep, you.
For over 30 years, I've cherished this place. Its waters, its bays, its vistas, its people. Shelter Island is my home. Unfortunately, in recent years, I've become increasingly disillusioned with what's going on inside our community. There's division, there's name-calling, lawsuits, a town government that has had trouble getting things done, trouble figuring out how to clean up our water and protect our environment, trouble uniting islanders around affordable housing, trouble guiding a new comprehensive plan. Rather than continuing to complain to anybody who would listen, thank God you don't go to the dinner party with me, I decided to join Gordon and Albert to offer new leadership to make our island a better place for all. From hairleggers to recent arrivals, sailors to golfers, juniors to seniors, Democrats to Republicans to independents. Gordon, Albert, and I cannot bring positive change alone. Surprise, surprise. We will create a cohesive team with Amber and Meg to get it done. And we also cannot do it without you, the community, participating, providing feedback and input in town board meetings and committees. I have the background and experience to help get some forward motion on the serious issues we are facing. Our water problems have been passed from one administration to the next without a solution. It is time for a change. My priorities will be to make the town run more like an efficient business, save and invest tax dollars wisely, make affordable housing happen, protect our aquifer and wetlands, and see that we finish a comprehensive plan that is widely supported. And ultimately, to keep Shelter Island in a fast-changing East End. I humbly and respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you. Tom?
Oh, look. First off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Shelter Island Association for organizing this debate. Thank you to the school for the use of the facility and to the candidates for participating today. I'd also like to thank my wife for supporting me in this crazy run for political office. I ask for prayers also for Art Williams today, that he has a speedy recovery from his cancer battle. The destruction of the Ramshead dock was really the catalyst to get me involved in politics, and was a real low point for our town, in my opinion. It's up to the judicial system to determine property ownership, not the political system. There is so much going on our little island, but unfortunately it is tainted by the constant political passion and hatred fueled by just a few. It's time to bring back transparency and a sense of decorum to our meetings. I urge all not to listen to the negativity and work towards solutions. I'm extremely proud of the bipartisan support that I have received. On Shelter Island, we must vote for the person, not the party. I offer my honesty, integrity, as well as a common sense approach, and I promise to do the absolute best I can for all of you. I have been very fortunate speaking with so many people on both sides of the aisle over the past several months. One common comment that struck me was, it's so nice to have a discussion with you without fighting. That is how I plan to proceed when I'm elected to the board. I look forward to getting the proposed 10 affordable housing units started, as well as getting the 167 water test results back. I also think it's time to practice fiscal responsibility and stop bleeding our taxpayers with higher taxes and more fees. It's Shelter Island. Let's keep it small. I am excited to work for you, the taxpayer, for the next 4 years. I want to especially thank all those who have reached out, show their support. I am truly blessed. My father, Howard Cronin, was completely in love with this community. He coined a phrase back in the 70s when he ran for judge, and I think it's going to work for me just today. Quit your moaning, vote for Cronin.
That's tough to come by.
Person following children or animals. Is that what you said?
For those who don't know me, I grew up here. I'm a fourth generation. I was given a strong sense of family and community. I'm not a hairlegger. I was born in Greenport Hospital. When I graduated from Shelter Island High School, I went off to college and work, but I always maintained a home here and my connections. Shelter Island's a part of my soul. I served on a town board from 2018 to 2021. I was the leading and sometimes sole advocate for protecting our environment, our waters, and our wetlands. I proposed many initiatives to ensure the long-term sustainability of our island, to improve our waters, to limit excessive building, and strengthen our town code against negative development. As a reporter article said about me, if there is a single word that captured Mr. Dixon's passion, it's water. I stressed an urgency to never postpone serious legislation meant to ensure action. But I was met with much resistance from the other board members, including, I might add, the current deputy supervisor. When returned to the board, I will bring my passion for the environment to continue the work I began, hopefully with more supportive colleagues like Gordon and Benjamin. I will also bring the knowledge I gained while in office of many town issues, of how the town operates and how it could be run better. I will also work to improve the dialogue, to unite and not divide. We all love this place. We're all vested here. We should all have a voice in our future. Let's work together to make Shelter Island an even better place for all. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you. And do you want to introduce yourself before you start?
My name is Ed Heidman, and Art Williams is a friend of mine. Good afternoon. My name is Art Williams. I am running for an open seat on the town board. I wish to thank the League of Women Voters and Shelter Island Association for co-sponsoring this event, as well as the Shelter Island School Board for making this facility available. The first time that I participated in this debate was in October 2000, when I ran for and had the honor of subsequently filling the seat of town supervisor. That seat had been previously filled for the prior 4 years by my opponent, Jerry Siller. At that time, the town board was arguing in favor of the acquisition of the sand pit land parcel on Bowditch Road. The taxpayers and voters would have none of it. This year, the town board was arguing to place a sewage treatment plant on Manwaring Road, and again, the taxpayers and voters would have none of it. But maybe both issues were thrown out based on that Yankee intuition that has held this community together for 350 years. Either history repeats itself, or maybe a lot of folks have dogs in the fight. I had no dog in this fight, other than that this is my community too. Now we are facing seemingly insurmountable issues like affordable housing and water quality. As a member of the town board, I will devote myself fully to vetting these issues and working with you, the voters, to get the right answers. I believe that as a community, we can save what is left and maintain the beauty, peacefulness, environment, and balance and quality of life that has kept Shelter Island unique and a jewel of the East End. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we can start. We're going to take a short break. All of the candidates are going to come back up on the stage, and we will be answering the questions that the audience has submitted. Thank you.
No.
Well, okay, sorry to do this. You needed a whole sweater today,
of them. I just wanted to remind you all that we're here because there's an election coming, and it's coming on November 7th, and to vote, and early voting starts a week from today. So that's not much time, so be sure to vote. And if you are doing an absentee ballot this year, please be aware that you don't have the choice. Once you mail or have received a ballot, you can't then go in and vote in person. So make sure you make your decision on where you want to vote or how. Thank you. And
I have a question on that. So if you haven't received the ballot yet, can you vote in person early voting?
Yeah, you should receive it in time. Have you?
That's actually my question, because I have an absentee ballot for my wife, and it has not come yet.
Well, wait until the day before, and then.
Affidavit ballot on the day of the election, then if you choose one of the other.
You can vote with an affidavit ballot.
Well, you can, yeah, you can vote, you can always vote with an affidavit ballot. There are questions here?
I believe that you've got the 28th is when voting starts, Saturday.
Well, I've seen it two ways. It's the 29th in most of the county stuff. It's 29th on Sunday. So we'll have to check it out. I mean, that's what I checked last night. It's 28th, but a couple of places says 28th.
It's the 28th.
So it is the 28th?
Yes.
Okay, well, they're wrong on mine. But make sure you check before. Okay.
Okay, we've had a raft of questions from the audience. The league has screened them. Things that have been redundant or really not appropriate have been screened out. Some of the questions you'll notice are for specific people. Others are just whoever wants to answer. You have 2 minutes, so keep your eyes on Marty. For Amber, the town's audit and budget was due to be filed with the New York State Controller's Office. Why, at this late date, has it not been done if you are in charge of this?
It is a process. It is in the hands of our contract accountants and our auditors, and they have to step through the process. And so there's scheduling conflicts that they have to deal with because they're auditing many entities across Long Island, as well as there are certain things that they have to wait to receive before they can move ahead. So we push as hard as we can. We try and get them back answers to questions as quickly as possible, but it really is in their hands and not ours, and we just continue to push.
Anyone can answer this? The current town code does not regulate aesthetics. Would you support the establishment of an architectural review board to preserve the rural feel of the island before development of any new commercial buildings in the business district? Tom?
No. I am not in favor of an architectural review board, and I just kind of put it in my simplistic form, is that today we all agree on one thing, and we love to have whatever it might be, a brown building. And then 2 years from now, 5 people from the back become the new architectural review board, and they want nothing but a building made out of straws. So,
Our little piggy showed us that wasn't good.
it's not a good analogy, but that's how I see it. So, no, I'm not in favor of it. I think that, you're going to build the house that you want to build, the building that you want to build, and it's your property. You're paying the taxes. You should build what you want, what you need, not have someone else dictate how you live on your property.
Okay, anybody? Ben, did you want, anybody else want to answer?
The only modification I would make to that is in historic districts, such as the Heights, I would suggest, yes, we should have an architectural review board because that's a very special area.
Okay. All right, to the panel as a whole, if you're elected in November, would you commit to a search for a new town attorney?
answer. I talk too much. You'll get used to that.
Am I, okay. Okay, you can hear me. I think it's something that, it's an appointed position, and I think it's something that should be looked into, okay? Meaning, I think that's something that will have to be evaluated. I think it's too early at this particular time, but it is something to look into.
Well, I would agree with Gordon in the sense that, if I understand correctly, our current town attorney is also running for the town board of Southold. And it seems like divided loyalties, and does he have time to do both jobs properly? He's getting a full-time salary being our town attorney. So the town may have better options.
You're good for me now.
It warrants further discussion with the town board, whoever sits there for next year. It's something to be considered and talked about.
I'm going to stay away from that one because he is an employee of the existing town board, of which I am one, and that would be a personnel issue that I don't want to get into for legal reasons.
Okay, thank you. Comp plan. Are you for or against these three zoning policies in the comprehensive plan? 1, spot zoning for commercial enterprises. 2, a marina business district. And 3, protecting the nearshore overlay district.
No, I think we should have, we should really look at, we need that assessment. We really need to know, but the answer, right now, the answer is no, I would not support that.
None of them.
Well, I'd just modify what Gordon said. My answer would be no, no, and yes, which is yes to protecting the nearshore overlay.
Definitely protecting your shore overlay.
And what about spot zoning for commercial enterprises and a marina business district?
No, no.
I would agree with that. It's no for spot zoning and no for marina district. We have businesses and marinas in residential neighborhoods, and so I think that the protection of them being in a residential zone and having to have review when they need to do something different protects the residents in the neighborhood. And then for nearshore overlay, we definitely need to protect that area.
Okay, here's a very narrowly focused question. If you could change one law that the town has passed, what would it be?
A law or an action?
It says, if you could change one law the town has passed, what would it be?
Well, certainly the action that the town board took to push wetland application approval authority over to the planning board. I wouldn't call that a law, but I certainly would like to reverse that.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm not sure if it's law, it's more code, but fees. I'm sorry, Mr. Silic, but I'm not in favor of all the fees. I think that would have to be looked at. And
Anything specific?
anything, I just learned of one, it's $100 per piling if you're getting a new dock. And they call it a town land use fee, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So every new piling you want to put in, it's $100 per piling for the dock.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Noise pollution plagues my neighborhood. Why don't we have laws to restrict the hours when leaf blowers are permitted to operate?
We absolutely should. These are tough things to balance, but you know, we all have been relaxing on a nice Saturday when all your neighbors have leaf blowers going all around you, And maybe it should be restricted to the work week.
You know, there's one part that was either in the earlier comprehensive plan or even currently, but I don't think we should implement or create any laws that we can't enforce. So what's the point of having a law if we don't enforce it? And we have a few of them on the books.
Maybe I'm much younger than you are, but I don't really see the need for it. You're gonna have a guy come in and mow the lawn, and he's gonna leave. You can have a leaf blower clean up the leaves and leave, no pun intended. And I really don't see it as a quality of life issue. They're doing the job and they're leaving. And on the weekends, some people, that's the only day they get to mow their lawn, because they work to pay their bills all week long. So I don't really see it as being that big of an issue.
Okay, anybody else? All right.
I think with,
Oh, sir. Go ahead.
sorry, I think with businesses that are in a non-conforming zone, I think any music should be played relegated to inside the building and not outside. Those that are in a residential non-conforming area.
Gordon. Assuming the comp plan is finished and adopted in 2024, and knowing the plan needs to be interfaced with the zoning code, how will you make changes in the code? What will be your top 3 priorities to enact changes in our zoning code?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what the comp plan is going to be looking like. All we have is a draft at this particular time, so it's really almost impossible to answer that question at this time.
Okay, all right. To the group as a whole, what changes or reductions would you make to the police force? Will you implement policies to make it a more diverse group?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with this one, I guess. Obviously, I think we have a great police department. The new young guys that replaced us old guys are fantastic. They go above and well above for what our community needs. Changes? I don't know if I would make any changes, but we do have in the next 4 years, so one of our terms here, that you're going to have at least 3 people retiring, in my opinion. One being the chief, one being the detective sergeant, and then the longest officer who's there. You have 10-man department right now. We haven't had 10 men in our department since probably the 70s. So I'm not sure I would want to replace all 3. And I would, obviously we're going to renegotiate the contracts for the chief and the detective sergeant as that comes up. That's how I feel.
Anybody else? Amber?
You asked about diversity, and in the police reform plan that we pulled together, one of the things was to try and work on diversity. So we were able to hire a female officer, which helped us meet that goal. And then as far as bringing up, persons of color, other differentiating factors, we just need to keep reaching out into the community to see if we can encourage people to consider work in police.
Okay. To the supervisor candidates, Amber and Gordon, the town center, unlike the Heights, is a depressing wasteland. How can we encourage responsible development to create more of a village and a sense of place, not more self-storage units? Okay. The town center, unlike the Heights, is a depressing wasteland. How can we encourage responsible development to create more of a village-like and sense of place and not more self-storage units?
I quite honestly have not had a lot of experience talking to the various landowners in the center, and I think that's a priority discussion that has to take place. And I think that I think something has to be done. I think that's why that question of B1 and B zoning being combined came about. I don't think we should lower, the requirements in the center. I think it should be more, I think it has to be revisited. Okay.
Amber?
There are two things that we can look at to address this. One of them is a vacancy tax. And I started to, just before COVID was hitting, start to talk to some other towns as how they implemented a vacancy tax. And no one that I spoke to at the conference had done it, and we were going to band together a group of us to explore it across all of New York State. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and that kind of got put on the back burner, but it is something that I know needs to be picked up. The other thing is site plan review. We have to make sure that we utilize site plan review to its fullest so that when someone is setting up a business in the center of town, that we make sure that they adhere to certain standards, and we look carefully at all of the different things that site plan review delineates as far as having a business going forward and what it's going to look like.
Thank you. Is there county money available to improve the condition and accessibility of our roads? Is addressing our roads on your radar, and what will you do to improve them?
We came off of a period where we were able to get a fair amount of money from state and county to update our roads. We are in the process of finally using the last of that money because it has to get scheduled out, and scheduling conflicts with the one contractor that does most of the roads on the east end. So the incoming highway superintendent knows that we are low on those funds and is going to start to reach out and work on getting some grants for that.
Anybody else?
Somebody brought up an interesting topic to me. It would have to obviously go through the new highway superintendent as well. There's a lot to be worked out upon it. But when you're redoing a road, widen the road 2 feet on each side. So we still have town property on each side, but widen the road 2 feet on each side, which would give you an extra 4 foot of road, and make it a little bit more safe for bicycles and walkers. It's an interesting concept. Obviously, it's a thoughtful concept, but it would have to be something looked into and see what the cost is and if it's even doable. But there's a lot of places that have driveways and stuff right up to the asphalt, so there are some places it'll be a challenge. I understand that, but it's something to look into.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. For the town board candidates, do you believe the town should pass a tree clear-cutting law?
Go ahead.
I think trees provide much more than aesthetics, really. I'm in favor of a protocol to handle trees and the clearing. They provide much valuable use for erosion, washout. They take CO2 out of the air to reduce greenhouse gases. I would be in favor of a protocol in conjunction with it. It's a difficult situation. It would have to be worked out, property owners' interests along with the interests of the community at large.
Ben, did you? Sure.
There is no question, I think, that clear cutting, there should be some control over clear cutting. And I think, besides the clear cutting and marking trees, first of all, right now, we don't have anything. People come and they clear cut completely. But since I've been involved with community preservation and have been so involved with turtle rescue and some of these other things, I would suggest, and I don't know how to go about it, but I think we should, when we're dealing with land, I think we should there should be some mention there of the different times of the year when we're clearing, and take the precaution to save some turtles.
In a time of such severe political partisanship, Why should someone cross the aisle to vote for you? How do you differentiate yourself from your national party?
Well, first of all, I'm doing really cool.
It's friendly.
This is Shelter Island. This place is too small, and we all suffer from the same problems. So party affiliation is just not that important. We differentiate ourselves from what's going on in Washington and in state houses across the country by being here and worrying about this community and how we're all going to live here together in a productive way. So I'm not worried about reds and blues or Republicans and Democrats and independents. We're all Shelter Islanders. And we need to come together to chart the future because we're at the crossroads.
Anyone else?
I just think common sense. That's what's lacking in Washington, D.C., and that's what we're going to bring to the table at Shelter Island. That's how I differentiate myself from them.
Okay. Coming into the home stretch. How would you go about excuse me, establishing a planning board committed to protecting the island's built environment and natural resources?
Can you repeat that question?
How would you go about establishing a planning board committed to protecting the island's built environment and its natural resources?
We have a 100-foot setback, and we have a near shore overlay. I'm sorry, we have the wetlands is at 75 feet, so we're always arguing over that 25 feet. That 25 feet from the shore. And we say, well, can we build in it? Well, we've always done it. I think that we should be more rigid and spell out clearly that there's no building in the 100-foot setback. That's my opinion.
But how does that influence the formation of a planning board?
We need to enforce the code.
Oh my God.
What Gordon's referring to is a 100-foot landward mark of the wall, that there's no structures, no septic systems. We allow those to be built in there now. We need to enforce our code. We need to end the loopholes that exist in the code. We don't define a bedroom in our town code, so somebody can tell us, oh, that's my office, that's my art studio, that's my exercise room. These types of things, we don't limit the size of an accessory structure. People can build 28 square foot accessory structures on the island. We need to strengthen our code to help protect our natural resources.
Well, this will be an interesting conversation after we're elected. But, I think to build a strong planning board that can both protect the built environment and the natural environment, you need to have some naturalists on the planning board. Not to disparage anyone on the planning board now, but it does have a number of architects and contractors on it. No naturalists. So balancing the board a little better might go a long way to helping that situation.
Just to chime in, I think we need to, as we run out of, we have fewer and fewer parcels that need subdivisions, because that's one of the main duties of the planning board is to review subdivisions, lot line changes, and things of that nature. I'll keep the wetlands out of it because I'd like to move the wetlands out of the planning board. We need to redirect the planning board to start looking at a broader view because they're not going to have the same workload as they did before. So let's redirect them to look at the built environment.
Thank you.
I think it starts at the top and trickles downward. So I think it's up to the town board to set the restrictions and then tell the planning board what they are expecting from them. And if that means that there's no building within that 75 and the additional 25, then that's what they need to make sure that the planning board knows.
You know, at a recent meeting, the planning board was in some discussion of what their responsibility is of referring something to the zoning board. I think that has to be clarified. I think that as a committee and as a town, if it's not in your department, it doesn't mean you don't talk about it. I think you should be able to forward it on to another committee so that they can take a look at it. I think we need to do everything we have to do to protect our environment and our community character.
Since this has kind of morphed into a wetlands thing, one clarification is the way our wetlands code is currently worded is that you cannot build within 75 foot. Between 75 foot and 100 foot, you can build if you get permission. That's what triggers a special permit. So it's being implemented by the town board, or by the planning board, as they are reading the code, but we need to change the wetlands code if that's the will of the community to not allow anything to be built within the 100 yards.
Thank you. Okay, and here's our final bonus question. How do we deal with too many deer?
I'm going to show you all how to lose an election real fast. So, I've just been thinking about this a little bit. You have Ryan's Farm, you have Westmoreland Farm, you have Clinawickus. I'm not in favor of flying helicopters and counting deer. I don't think it makes any sense. It costs a lot of money. But, and I know I'm not going to make too many friends with this one, but you could hire a professional sniper and start eradicating some of the deer from some of those large parcels so that the sniper will be up on a pedestal, shoot down and take out as many deer as we deem necessary. But if you drive around now and you look at those parcels, they are loaded with deer. And you know, you can look at the police department has record of all the motor vehicle accidents, and you can follow their trail. And then we have a lot of deer when we don't. And that's the end of my political career right there.
So Tom wants to shoot Bambi. Well, one thing you left off your list is Sylvester Manor. 250 acres, smack in the middle of the island, also loaded with deer. We've had, well, the manor has had a pretty active hunting program. It has gone up and down over the years. We definitely had a drop off during COVID. I keep saying we because I still sit on the manor boards to this day, but I was also the co-founder of what you all know now as Sylvester Manor Educational Farm. And I was board president of Sylvester Manor for 5 years. But one thing the Manor has moved to do this year is extend the hunting season to a full 4 months. And we have, the board has voted to close the trails during those 4 months, which was a huge decision for the board to keep the public off the property because we don't want anyone to get shot. But for November and December, it will be bow hunting. Trails will be closed. January and February, it will be shotgun. We went from a low of 2 years ago, I think we took about 30 deer. And our norm is about 70-ish. And this year, they're hoping to get more, 70, 80, 90. And that meat also gets butchered and sent to the town recycling center for distribution to the town. Some of it ends up in my freezer, I think. But it's an active program, and that's something that is discussed on a regular basis, at least on the manor.
Anybody else? All right. That concludes our 2023-24 candidate forum. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being a truly respectful and engaged audience.
I just know their legs together.
Oh, well, yeah, you got one. I ended up at the older around. Actually, since I messed up Friday, let's do it the right way. I don't know why this always happens to me. I'm in the middle of doing it today, and something else comes in. I go to the other next, and I go back to where I was. I need to see is that me or is that Apple? I was texting you. When can we meet and hear my topics?
Well, no, I mean, it's like, wow, I thought he was going to text me.
Well, I don't know, actually,
Like Steve
what
goes to big-
I ended up doing is I